Hi, this is David Kettlewell, and welcome to Medical Matters, because life matters. Today's topic: what are the unusual challenges kids are facing today, and how do we as parents do the best job possible? It's a fascinating topic for what many consider to be a spoiled America. We'll learn about this and more with Medical Matters. It is no secret that Americans seem stupefied with how to be a good parent today. We find so many of the things that our kids are experiencing, whether it's eating disorders, drug use, behavioral problems, lack of discipline. They're problematic, but we're going to have solutions today from our guest, Shepard Goldberg, PhD. You are the Director of Psychological and Clinical Services for BryLin Hospitals. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Are our kids too spoiled?
Spoiled is, yeah. Our kids are too indulged. We're too focused on trying to make things easy for kids, and it's really not the basic preparation for life. Your job as a parent to raise your kids so they can go out in the real world and make it out there. There's going to be frustration. Somebody's always going to be able to do something better. Things are not always fair, and if you don't experience those issues early in life, you're less equipped to deal with them later on when you have to face them in the real world.
So to recap your idea, and I'm going to pretend we're in a classroom right now and you're teaching me, but so what you're saying is that it's not the goal of a parent to satisfy all the wants of a child, but more to prepare them to function adequately and successfully as an adult.
And function adequately and successfully in life, you have to be able to deal with failures. You have to be able to deal with the fact that you don't always get your own way, that there are things you have to put up with and cope with in life that don't always feel comfortable.
Are you saying it's a mistake for a sporting organization to give everybody a gold medal that participates?
It's always more fun to be first and win, but that's not life, and it doesn't accomplish anything for a child. If you look at most learning, we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. We learn what not to do. Remember the anecdote once of somebody meeting with Edison. They're interviewing him, and he tried to fill him in for the bulb, and it didn't work, and they said, "Doesn't that frustrate you?" And he says, "No, I now know 364 things that don't work, and I have to go on and find something new." Resiliency, being able to cope with frustration, is the key to survival. And if kids don't learn this early, they're ill equipped later on when they have to meet the frustration initially that come from school. School is a child's workplace. There is competition. It doesn't revolve around you. And having to learn fitting your place in this and coping with it is part of an adjustment a child has to learn very early, because he's going to face it in the workplace. He's going to have to deal with conflict. There's a basic issue in human behavior. No two people can occupy the same space over time without conflict. How to resolve it between husband and wife, parent and child, teacher and student, with my peers. I have to be able to cope with it. I can't turn off the frustration and the anxiety by taking drugs or drinking or the other things that I have to do. You learn those lessons very early. The world doesn't revolve around you. Your first job as a new parent, what's your first job bringing an infant home? I'm going to get him to sleep through the night. We lived here before you do. We make the rules. You have to adjust to our rules, because that's what's going to happen later on. If we don't start that early, and we're giving in to kids constantly so they shouldn't feel frustrated and their needs are not one, we're ill-equipping them to cope later on.
There is a view on the part of some Americans that discipline is bad. Either physical discipline or spanking or whatever, just basically the discipline isn't a good thing. But you're saying that these confines, at least in terms of rules, are very much a part of a healthy human being's psychic makeup.
They're basic for our security. You take a young child, let him reach out and touch something he's not supposed to, and you say no. With the next minute to minute and a half, every normal child will go out a second time. But the second time, the hand is out, but the eyes are on you to find out what you're going to do. If the second time you say no, I learned I'm not supposed to touch it. If the second time nothing happens, now I'm confused. I'm under tension. I have to go back a third time to find out. This is no different than what we do. The speed limit says 55. That's what they say. I will push it to find out when I will get a ticket. And if I find out, I know I can go 62 and it's safe. I set my cruise control. Testing limits and knowing what the boundaries are provides you basic security. So if we don't discipline and set firm boundaries about things that I will no longer tolerate, we also fight battles we can't win. Take an infant, try and feed something he doesn't want. Put it down and spit it out. You can't make a kid eat. You can't make somebody go to sleep. I can't enforce bedtime. You go to bed at 10:30 if you want to sit in a room and read or something. Yes, but I can't make somebody go to sleep. We can't go to sleep on schedule. You can't make somebody eat. So fight battles you can win. Take stands. Kids need to know that my parents stand for something.
Do you think parents are confused in today's society about how to parent?
Oh, anybody can get a license to cut hair, drive a car. There's no training to be a parent. Anybody can be a parent. And too many of them read too many books about how to do it.
Too many of them read too many books?
Yeah, somebody writes, you know, breastfeed early, breastfeed late, toilet train early, toilet train. You have to do what's natural to you. And the kid knows this is the way my parents do it. Somebody else's parents do it different. This is the world I live in. I have to be able to make that adjustment.
Isn't that based on the idea there is no best way to raise a child? No one best way? That it's different for each parent, what works for them?
I have to do what works for me. If mother is concerned about how things are and kids can't touch, I learned my mom's more compulsive. Somebody else is more relaxed. When I get to school, I'm going to have a teacher. One teacher is going to be much more controlled in the classroom. Another teacher is going to have a much more open kind of thing. I have to make it in both classrooms. I have to learn what the rules are and settings, and kids sense it. Dealing with parents, you frequently find, I'm struggling with my kid at home. He spends a night at a neighbor's house or an afternoon, and I get a report how well behaved your kid was, how he was doing. You're talking about my kid? They do know what the rules are, and they do try and get the approval. But if we don't give them guidelines, let them know we stand for something and what's acceptable in our house, we're not preparing them for the real world later on.
What's happening with drug use today with kids? Explain a little bit about why they're using drugs. What's happening to society, and what does it say about how the kids were raised, or what the kids are as kids?
Well, part of it is like, you know, peer pressure. Everybody's doing it, or trying beer or something. There's peer pressure. But a lot of the drug use is basically related. They feel anxiety or frustration, and they don't know how to handle it, so it turns it off. There's a lot of issues related to the fact that it feels good for the moment, but when the drug wears off, I still have to face the real world later on. And the kids then start using, and then they can eventually become addicted. And then we've got another problem.
So it's a self-medication, then, you think?
Yeah, we're so busy. Busy day at work. I come home, I'm going to have a cocktail or two to come down. Turn off the frustrations rather than learn how to deal with the fact that living is hard. There's a lot of stress management stuff going on, stress control. It's a crock. Living is stressful. How to handle stress is the issue we have to learn to be able to deal with. And stress comes from dealing with the fact that there is discipline, there are rules, there are social expectations, and most of all, there are consequences for behavior. If you do A, B will follow. And we try and shape that up. And you only do that through effective discipline. Now, I feel the frustration, I feel the anger. I can't turn it off. But a drug use, popping something, it goes away for a while. The problem is the drug wears off. Then I have to deal all over again. But it's hard to deal. Yeah, living is stressful, so I will take more drugs. And eventually we get a real addiction, which becomes bodily.
Why do you think that parents of today are hesitant to discipline kids?
Because at the moment the kid might not like you, or might be angry or upset. Tough. I love my kids. I want them to love me. But basically, you want the respect, and respect is something you command, and you earn respect by being able to stand for something that a kid can look up to and say, gee, my parents really care. They care enough about me to say no, to stand firm, to protect me when I need it, but also to let me learn. When your child is learning how to walk, you put him down, and he falls and cuts his knee and bangs his head and splits his lip. You like to protect him from that, so you carry him. Carry him, he never's going to learn how to walk.
For more Medical Matters television shows, go online to medicalmatters.tv.